Welcome everyone to our last finance and performance meeting for this calendar year. Financial year. That's a really good start. Welcome to anyone watching on live stream. And I'd like to ask you all to stand and I'll read the council prayer. Almighty God, as members of the Rangitikei District Council, we give thanks for all the good things of our district and the advantages we enjoy. We pray that you will give us wisdom and guidance as we conduct the affairs of this meeting. We pray for all the communities in the district we represent. Help us to be fair and honest in our discussions and help us to work together in unity for the welfare of all your people. Amen. So I'd like to call for apologies. Have we got any apologies today? And have a mover, that's Leanne is an apology. Mover and seconder for that, please. Councillor Wilson, Councillor Carter, welcome back to the table.
Second-class citizen now.
All those in favour, please say aye. Carried. They have not been notified of any public forum. Item number 4, conflict of interest declarations. As per normal, can you either declare your conflicts now or at the time of discussion? Confirmation of order of business, no new items to add, and the order is unchanged as per the order paper. Item number 6, confirmation of minutes. Page 1. Can I call for any amendments or matters arising? Page 1, page 6, page 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I have a mover on a second to confirm those minutes. No matters arising. Councillor Wilson. Councillor Wong. Then we move to the follow-up actions from the previous meeting. Any items anyone wants to discuss there? Your Worship.
Just one, with regard to item number 4, the report's on a conversation that effectively, but it's not quite the conversation. This came from the Bulls community meeting. And my question was around the right to carry forward more than 1 year's funding. And this is the rates money generated. I wonder if that's where the comment came from or whether it came from somewhere else. So maybe some clarification.
I think it does relate to the carry forwards. Came up last meeting, but we've also got a paper in the council agenda this
So
afternoon.
it's just about the finance paper,
Yes.
not the community committee stuff. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So that one will be closed anyway.
Okay, thank you.
Just a couple of comments for me. Item number 2 and 3 refer to, will come to a future meeting. How difficult would it be to put when that future meeting might be in those comments? I just feel that it would be helpful to have that in there if we can. So I'll leave that for staff to consider, please. And then item number 6. I see we are 7 months out and just wondering Arno. Has there been any progress around that?
Thank you. So that's the one with the doggy
Mm.
and the signs. The reason why it's still on there, we will only take it off once the signs are up. So we need to print them and then install them, and then once it's all done, we'll take that off. It's just a,
So it's just, there's been a request for the community 7 months later, just feeling they might be thinking, the wheels are going fairly slowly. Where are the wheels at?
well, we have to prioritize with the resources that we have and with the LP and all the other things and the end of the shared services. That is going to take longer than it normally would.
Right. Have you got any expectation of when that might be done by?
Not at the moment. I can bring something back to the next meeting. if that's helpful.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful. Thank you very much.
And she just, I would say on the shared service one, there has been some questions asked about that too. So that'll be sooner rather than later about those budgets going forward from 1 July. So but that is something that needs to be done. So
Awesome.
hopefully that will be sooner rather than later.
Brilliant. Thank you. Yes.
Item number 7. I know it's ongoing and in progress, but effectively, we are now at today's meeting striking the rates for another year. So the properties that have been identified, can I be assured that they will be paying their fair share of rates in this next financial year? Otherwise, it's another year, and I find that unacceptable.
My understanding is all the ones that have the CCC completed will then be paying rates from 1 July.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, can I ask that the follow-up items be received? I'm happy to move that. A seconder, please. Councillor Loudon, all those in favour, please say aye. Carried. Moving on to item number 8, my chair's report, and I do apologise. It's again a verbal one. This week I have been in Hamilton with the Beef and Lamb Farmers Council conference, and my travel plans all went astray with the fog, and I ended up having to drive up and back. Just want to highlight 2 presentations there. One was from Tim Dean, who after many years of marketing with Fonterra, ended up, he said, mortgaging the house, purchasing the Norseware factory. He was a very passionate speaker and a huge advocate for wool, and was also interested that robots are now making a woolen jersey in 1 hour. We also got the privilege to hear from Sir Ian Taylor, who spoke to us about every challenge presenting as an opportunity. He talked about the AI genie being out and showed us a video of the founder of LinkedIn interviewing his AI self. Extraordinary. The AI can answer depending on the language and the needs of the viewer, and it changed for a dyslexic person, and then even answered in Klingon. How could this affect our teaching going forward? We're in a sprint with AI, and it'll be interesting how it impacts local government. Last week, I also attended the Boma e Tipu conference in Palmy that is sponsored by our neighbours in Manawatu and the Palmerston councils. And again, there were outstanding speakers, but particularly Greg Smith, who's the CE of Bremworth Carpets. And their decision, he spoke about their decision to make only wool carpets. They offer 10-year contracts to farmers, and his presentation showcased Ruanui Station, owned by Andrew and Meredith Carpenter in our district. Just as Country Calendar last week showcased Sam and Sarah Duncan on Otari. Our Rangatiki farmers are recognised and respected New Zealand-wide, in fact globally. However, times are tough. Sheep and beef incomes are forecasted to be 50% lower this year. Over the past 3 years, a recent report indicates import costs have risen 32%. So I'd just like to acknowledge farmers are under significant financial pressure, and there is a knock-on effect in our rural townships. At the recent risk and insurance, got a new name, meeting, the new name? Risk and insurance. We discussed the risks facing our district, and number one was considered affordability of our rates. This impacts the survivability of our key industries, including ag. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge how hard staff have worked on getting the sign-off to our LTP today. I believe we're only one of a few councils that have been able to do so. And that's despite having just in the last few weeks, NZTA allocations came in and we were having to change our budgets in relation to their change of policy around emergency roading. This, in addition with working with audit, has been a huge effort, and thank you all. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge that our CE has accepted the resignation of our GM Corporate Services, Dave Toombs. And I believe he is heading off to an island paradise sometime in September. So we look forward to working with you till then. Any questions to my report? Awesome. I'll like to move that to a seconder, please.
It's not a question, but I think that having that report listed in minutes, because I think it's very valuable.
I can get it typed out and included.
Because I think it's very good.
People second? Thank you. For those in favour? Item number 9, reports for decision. 9.1, financial snapshot for May 2004. Thank you, Warren, for the work on this.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson, for the opportunity to present this morning, and good morning, Council. Before I present the report, I'd just like to acknowledge the letter from Simon Loudon of the 24th of June and Dave's response to that on the 25th, where he raised some questions. And for the benefit of the Council, I'll quickly run through those. So, question was raised around the internal finance costs. So those costs are the recovery of the net interest that the council as a whole pays across the council activities. It nets out at a total council level to zero, and the real cost of interest is shown at the whole of council, where we are $349,000 favourable to plan, representing the fact that we're actually borrowed less money than we'd planned to at this point of the year, mainly due to the fact that our capital plan is behind budget. The Marton Rail Hub grant, that grant is a grant that's been received ahead of budget. It does not represent an extra grant, and it does not change any of the predicted funding for that particular project. The roading costs exceeding budget. That one is under investigation by officers of the council. And we will come back to that when that investigation is complete. Finally, the question around the borrowing costs. What that reflects is the fact we're actually, year to date, we're about 9 million favourable to our plan on our borrowing costs, and that is simply a representation of the fact that our capital plan is also underspent by the same amount. Any questions arising from those? No, move on.
Thank you.
Councillor
Larry,
Just on
thank you, firstly, thank you very much for your questions to the team. Yeah.
that, thank you. Just a question on the Marton Rail Hub and just where that borrowing sits within OPEX or CAPEX, because it's a CAPEX project and that's where it's been sitting. But it's, I believe that it's possibly being used for OPEX. Just how that sort of works out. And my question was around about down the track when the 9.1 funding was made available for the whole project. Will council be required to increase its CAPEX funding towards that project to make up?
Yeah, I think the question was, in the not too distant past, we had capitalised all the costs associated with this project up to now, and then we'd written some of them off to OPEX. Under the terms of the agreement, it doesn't really differentiate between CAPEX and OPEX. It's purely an accounting thing we do for our books. We've got a 9.1 million expenditure budget in total from memory, and we're going to spend that, and whether 8 million ends up being CAPEX or 8.5 in CAPEX, I'm not sure is relevant in terms of the funding. And our spend will be split between CAPEX and OPEX, and it's purely as per an accounting standard as to what page of our annual report it sits on. At this stage, there's no suggestion that we're going to have to contribute more to make up the fact that some of it's been written off as OPEX. We've got no intention, no plans to increase spend on this.
We'll talk on that one. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, if you like.
Okay. The financial snapshot is as tabled, and there is nothing significant to highlight in there, I don't believe, but I'll open it to the table for questions.
You wish up.
I'll have a couple of things, but one, I think I know the answer to this, but especially for new councillors, would you explain what the vested assets are?
Yes. The vested assets represent assets that where developers have improved land and they have put infrastructure in the ground as part of developing that land, be it a new estate or something similar. And at the end of the construction, the developer passes that property back to council, and it's becomes an asset of the council. In terms of accounting for it, it's done the same way as a revaluation reserve. It becomes essentially income to the value of the land or the infrastructure, and the other side of it is, of course, an increase in our net assets.
If I just add on to that, if I may, and I've made a comment before, the previous finance committees, they're called vested assets. In financial terms, they're liabilities. We've got to pay to maintain these things. They do serve a purpose to the community, but financially they are a liability. I'm saying that somewhat tongue in cheek, but also somewhat not tongue in cheek.
Can I just, along with that, I wasn't familiar with Camel Places. It's on page 23, one of those vested assets. That's part of your bid, is it?
I can tell you where that is, Madam Chair. Is if you go up Bretton's Line, that's the new development that comes off Bretton's Line towards the school.
Oh,
There's 35 odd sections.
right, appreciate it, thank you.
There are other sections off the back of Walton Street. There's the one, Henderson's Line,
Walton Street's just about been completed and passed over, isn't it? It's Watson Street at the corner.
Yeah. Second question,
After
Madam.
that, yeah.
Sorry, second question. So if you go to the full period report, which is the summation of all of the other reports, the rates take it 29.266 million. Will include the rates that we have received from depreciation, so does that 29.266 million includes effectively 15.965 of depreciation? Just want to highlight just how big an area this is, actually is.
Thank you for pointing that out. Councillor Loudon, more questions?
I'm just going back to the vested assets.
Yeah, sorry.
Maybe help people online. The it's with the roading and the infrastructure under the roading, the footpaths, that goes to the boundary of properties, property. Vested asset.
I unfortunately don't know enough to comment on that, Dave.
I can reply, but Chair, if I may. That's correct. Councillor, it goes to the boundary.
Yeah.
From the boundary to the inside is the property owner's responsibility. Normally in these subdivisions, they would actually put the connection in a specific spot.
Yeah.
And note where that is, but all of that infrastructure from boundary to boundary is ours.
It's just that there's sometimes some contentious arguments from landowners, property owners regarding the verge and maintenance of the verge. I think council's position is that that's the owner's responsibility to maintain the verge, but it's actually council vested land. That I'm just.
I think legally it is our property.
Yeah.
However, there is an understanding throughout local government that as a responsible citizen, you're responsible for the maintenance of the.
If I may just make one more comment, Councillor Loudon actually touches on an interesting point. There's some councils actually say that the connection is the property owner's property all the way to the main. So all the way through the road or into the main. And some councils say it's the boundary. So there is a difference nationally as to which it is. In our case, it's boundary to boundary.
Right, any other questions?
Yes,
Councillor-
sorry, Madam Chair. The community wellbeing report, page 21. And in personnel costs, there's no budget there for staff. Is that an unfilled position or it's just not required?
Would like to comment on that.
That level of detail we wouldn't have. The actual cost of 1,000, that's probably just a couple of $100 for part-time and casual, maybe. Is that what you're looking at? $700 has been charged there.
Yeah, yeah.
I would have to take that on notice. And what was the question? Should there be a budget or?
Well, just, is there no budget within that community wellbeing for
Oh.
staff? Or is it a no-filled position? And that has.
Okay, all the staff generally get appointed through a business unit. So groups don't generally have a budget for payroll.
That is, I think,
Just, there's no unfilled position to my knowledge in that area, so it will be attracting some personnel costs. I'm just not sure why that doesn't filter through. You would think it's a percentage of a person.
It looks like it's not wages, it's reimbursement of expenses by the looks of it, $700.
But I'll have that in under your rules. Yeah, not sorry.
Anything else? Thank you. Do I have a mover for receipt of the report? The mover receipt of the report, seconded councillor Carter. All those in favour? Aye. Carried.
Thank you.
Reports for information, item number 10, page. Sorry. 27.
Thank you. So pretty much a standard report that shows our debt position and how we're comparing to the borrowing covenants. I think what became clear in all of our LTP workshops is that if our revenue and CapEx budgets remain as per budget, then our debt position shouldn't give us a problem. Shouldn't give us a problem with regards to borrowing covenants. And so what this paper does, it just ratifies that. But I would like to just extend this paper by suggesting a workshop sometime in July and August. If we go to section 5, page 28 of the agenda, we can see that our debt has grown significantly in the last 2 or 3 years. And personally, I think, and professionally, we're at a stage now where we benefit from some external treasury advice into the introduction of floating interest rates and hedges and swaps. So what I'd like to do is to invite the treasury company to a workshop in July or August to explain how that works to councillors. Up until now, we've taken the standard approach of just fixed rate. But I think we're getting to the stage now where we benefit from a bit more sophisticated treasury management.
Thank you.
Workshop.
Wait.
Yeah, they don't always speak proper English, these treasury people, so I'll ask them to speak normal.
Is that what you command?
But happy to take questions apart from that, yeah.
Thanks for that, that'd be a great help.
As always, when you receive this report for someone that's listing online, our debt figure of 44 million is offset by 12.2 of cash in hand effectively. So our net debt is sitting around 30 odd million, which is very low for an authority.
Thank you. Councillor Wong.
Can I just ask, the Director of Finance, at what level of debt triggers, do you say triggers this need to investigate debt further? At what?
Around where we are now. You can see we get the maturity dates are getting quite bunched around the 27, 28. So future parcels of debt, if we want to preserve our phasing out of maturity dates, mean that we benefit from some specialist advice.
Thank you. Councillor Morn.
Yeah, I think we need specialist advice because I think we've got to be conservative with our ratepayers' money. I know a lot of people have been brought up in derivatives and hedging and all that sort of stuff over the years. So, yeah, we've got to understand it before we make any decisions in that direction.
Well, elected members, you can look forward to a workshop. Anything else? No. Item 10.2 is the QV report. Standard report. So you remove it and a second for the receipt of the.
Receipt of the Treasury debt report.
Thank you, councillor Wilson, seconded. Councillor Carter, all those in favour? Carried. This time, QV report. Morning.
Councillors. So I'd like to present the QV report this month. It's the standard report that we extract from QV and ask if there's any questions.
Any questions? No, doesn't appear so. Thank you for your work there. So I'd like to move receipt of that report. Seconder. Councillor Wong, all those in favour? Carried. Item 10.3 is the quarterly property sales report. Mr. Toombs, thank you for fronting this one.
I certainly am. Again, just a data set provided for the committee's information. Happy to take any questions, even though I might not be able to answer them.
I'm just looking at page 39, I'm just, find it very interesting that, there's 5 sales there in the northern area, Taipi rural area, still sitting at, 54% above last year's new CVs. And right across the northern part of the district anyway, the increases are still 30 to 50%, apart from some rural sales around Hunterville.
I just, the outlier is the East Marton, bottom of that table. Is any, do you know any explanation why that's such a?
There's a whole bunch of
Yeah.
reasons. All this report does is a statistical comparison.
Yes.
And there's a whole bunch of reasons. If people might be selling to family members at a discount, they may have amalgamated something since the last QB valuation. It's, officers don't use this for any decision making because it's purely a comparison with 2 different data sets. I could go and find out, but it would be probably a related party transaction.
It's what's probably likely to be with some new improvements on there versus the old CV.
That one does look as if it's a property value for 250 grand and then a house has been on it, so it's increased that. Wonder if capital value would be 250, would be some small thing on there.
But they might have done improvements since the last evaluation.
Let's hope the triple C's been issued on them.
I'd say that. I was thinking about it when I said it, when I think something like that. Hasn't been issued for everyone here.
So we have a mover for receipt of that report. Councillor Wilson, seconded Councillor Carter. All those in favour? Aye. Carried. Item 10.4 is the public feedback and performance report.
Yes, I'm presenting this one today as Galen's on leave. So I'm happy to take any questions if there's anything related to some of the library areas I might not be able to answer, but and take questions or if there's anything. Easy question.
Jill.
Thank you. So this system of happy or not has been in place for about, is it 3 years now?
Yeah, it's at least 2, if not 3.
If not, yeah. I'm just wondering from your perspective, do you feel that it has actually been a much better way of getting a finger on how the public are feeling, for instance, in feedback through libraries, etc.?
The short answer is absolutely. If you think back to those resident surveys where we were getting the same results every year from a very small number of people, we pretty much achieve it on a monthly basis. And the managers do use it to see if there's any trends or anything happening and address any issues. And I think what you do find is we can always predict what's happening in a public, school holidays around those areas and sort of get staff aware that, you know, you're likely to have increased incidences around that time. So I think it's a really useful tool for us as well as the public, yeah.
Councillor Wilson?
Does RFS link into this anyway?
No, not this one. You get the statement of performance, service performance, the RFS links into that, and that will be due to come to you at the end of July and August. Yeah.
I was just interested around the community newsletters that go out and Taibi Hannibal Bowls and then the Rangitikei Connect and the Monitor. So do they do the writers of those report newsletters get each other's newsletter? I just thought if I was writing for Hunterville, there could be benefit from me seeing the Bulls one and see what they're putting in it, see how they're doing things. I
suppose we provide a page, normally it's got the mayor's commentary in it. We provide that to them. We don't have any part in the actual pulling together of their newsletters. They do that themselves.
sure.
So if anyone wanted to get onto their mailing list, I mean, we could put you in contact with who that is, but it would have to come from that group who's sending it out directly.
So this did come up at our community meeting,
Right.
and they'd be certainly the Hunterville people would be interested in getting the other areas newsletters.
Yeah,
Um,
potentially we could put an
probably
item
wouldn't
on the each of our community committee agendas and just say, could you share your newsletters with the other committees, because they'll have your addresses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure Kezia could put that into the next agendas.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Councillor
Couldn't see
Wilson.
why they wouldn't.
No, not at all. No.
Just one quick feedback, which I think it's important that people, when they've taken the time to write comments in their customer experience, and I note there that one in particular suggestion logged as request for service forward to the roading team. What follows that? Is that fed back to the person that's taken the time to write that? So, and what's the follow-up steps behind all that?
It's pretty much treated like an RFS.
Yeah.
If one comes in that it is requesting something like in the roading space, that gets loaded as an RFS and followed through, so Higgins will get a copy as well, and then that follows the normal feedback process.
Cool, thank you.
So moving the report.
Comment on it.
Question?
Move
Yeah.
as well. Regarding the growth of the media followers. I think we're gonna get the closed target by quite a number of people, the way it's going, so we've got someone on there who make things work.
Yeah, and on that, I suppose we just acknowledge, Ben does do a massive amount of work in this space, and he was recognised at the staff awards for exactly that on Friday night. So I think it was good to be able to do that.
That's allowed.
But this, at the head of the report, says there were 318 responses. Do you track the numbers of responders every month, see if people are using the service or increasing or decreasing the use of the service?
I suppose we don't do an actual trend, but it's good to have it in here. So the number is pretty consistent, really. But we don't actually trend it. It's possibly something we can do. I'm sure Ben's listening online.
So move.
Thank you, councillor Carter. Seconder.
Just
Sorry.
before you pass, the redacted comment on toilets prompts me not around redacted comment, but the toilet at on the Gentilani Road, where's that at in terms of official openings in time?
I have to ask Aileen to.
Could we just have somebody come back to me?
I thought the plaque had been installed and it had been opened.
Oh, councillor Duncan might be able to help with that.
Councillor Duncan had the privilege of using that facility about 3 weeks ago, and it's definitely up and running, and the plaque is there. And there are lovely steps going up to the old bridge. It's actually looking really good. But I don't know about any opening. I haven't heard of that.
I had a feeling Sorry, I had a feeling that wasn't going to be an opening planned to be able to give recognition to families
Didn't
concerned.
think Gailey might have said they were gonna wait till the weather was improved.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
but I'll double check with you.
So thank you. We've had a move, councillor Carter's moved the report, councillor Sharlem seconded it. All those in favour? Aye. Carried. And that is the end of our meeting. That's all the meeting closed.
Chair.